really good team on the other side, and I congratulate them. They played better than we did. I felt like there were 3 innings, the ninth, the first, and the third, that we could not really escape. And the game revolves around the big inning, and those 3 were the difference in this series. I'm proud of our team. These guys perform from start to finish this year. It's hard to be in a position to host. You guys know how difficult it is to be in the conversation to host something. We did it. The individual growth of some of the players that have positioned themselves well for the next level stands out. You know, the team played, I guess, down to the last day for the ACC regular season championship, and unfortunately, because of the event on our campus, we couldn't play one of the series, and still we're in the equation there for the last day of the last series. The growth of these guys, the development, I mean, that's part of the reason they work so hard, is to position themselves, and obviously as they're doing that, they're positioning the team. And there was a lot of newness to the team. The things that we had to replace on this team, substantial, massive things that we had to replace, and I thought that next group stepped in and functioned at a pretty high level, especially offensively. This was built around starting pitching, and Wes had been fighting an illness this week, and I don't know, you know, just the travel and the different allergy stuff that's going on out here for him. He didn't look like it was as good as I've seen it. You have to have command of a secondary pitch, and we're trying to get him through it to see if he could find one of the secondary pitches, and you have an all right-handed lineup, and it seemed like if he could get that changeup going, the changeup's pretty good, but they were on it, and we could not get out of that, and that was damage. And I think they scored 7 runs in that inning and 6 in the third, and those are tough to overcome. We fought. We had chances, believe it or not. Like this game, you could have looked up, and this thing, it could have been 14-14 and still going, to be honest with you. But some of the at-bats and some of those moments, we need a little bit more, and we needed a crooked number. And we were scoring. We scored in a lot of these innings, but we needed that big blow, that big one, and we didn't get it. And they're a really talented team. They have good arm talent. It's young. They have good young guys. They know how to use them. They're physical. They play with good energy and emotion. When they get going, you could sense it, and I think that's one of the reasons they capitalized on those big innings.
Link, obviously there's not moral victories in this program, and the end goal is the same every year, but it felt like a lot of this year the identity of this team was just the willingness to fight. Just how proud were you of their fight throughout this game after you guys got down big early?
Really proud of it. And the schedule, there's no breather in this. I didn't feel like we really had breathers all year, and the guys were tough and kept going. And even in that game, like you're up 2 and you're feeling good going into the bottom half, and you walk out of there and you're down 7-2, and they just kept chipping away. And we talk about the execution of what you're doing at the plate, and you have to deliver good stuff and execute on the mound, and that's how you get back into something. That's how you stay in a close game, and that's how you separate. We just found ourselves in too big of a hole, but it wasn't for a lack of fight. I mean, there were some really good at-bats in there. They had some balls when you hit, how many home runs, 4 or 5? 5? Yeah, when you hit that many balls over the fence, it's tough to overcome it, and we gave them traffic to capitalize on, and they did. But the fight of the guys all year stands out, and to play the game after Friday night, to play the way they did yesterday, and even throughout this one, they're tough.
Alex, you've talked a lot about the growth you've made as a player with Lincoln and his program. Just can you talk about the growth of yourself as kind of a person and what this program has done for you over the last 2 years?
Yeah, I mean, Link not only builds you as a baseball player, but when you come to this program, it's almost like expected that you become a better man throughout your time here, and I think that's something that this program is awesome with. I mean, you can come here for 2 years and you're going to leave just a better person, and it's all to the coaches and the coaching staff, and they just want to build the best man they can out of you and just make you a great person.
Coach, I wanted to ask about Prescott. He comes out there in that 0-1 count. Is he all right? Was that a injury concern there? Or?
I hope so. And our orthopedic doctor is with us, so that's good. So they're doing some assessments, and I hope he's okay. You don't ever like to see that. I'm quite frankly sick to my stomach right now in 2 areas, that being number 1, the result being a close second, but it's second.
Link, I know this is fresh, but you guys are always kind of working ahead on the roster. Just where do you feel like you kind of want to improve or focus on going into the offseason into next year?
Well, we tried to build this team to be competent in the middle of the field, and you have to do that. And you want depth there, and then we spread that around. And the defensive consistency and athleticism of this team was massively important to success. So we're going to lose a lot of that and more. And we went through the same thing last year when you lose half of the starting lineup with the draft. And I want this guy to be drafted as high as he can possibly be drafted, and off they go. And there's a bunch of them that are in that conversation. The portal situation that we dealt with the last week to try to manage some of that, and obviously you signed high school and some junior college players along the way. I want to be strong up the middle, and the right athletes start that, and then the development and the work they do to try to polish and learn how to do it at a very high level, that goes a long way too. So we're thinking about it all the time, and it was a huge part of this week, to be quite honest with you, is management of like what's going on with our current roster and then who's out there that's available to recruit, because we are going to lose a lot via the draft. And then the high school kids, some of those you sign, you're not going to get all those guys, and we've been through a lot of that as well. So it is a massive undertaking, and the transfer and those other things add quite a more difficult dimension to it.
Link, I know you don't follow Oregon State baseball that closely, but in light of the Pac-12 blowing up and these guys having to go play an independent schedule to keep things afloat, can you just speak from an outsider perspective how impressive it is that they not only did that but flourished and are where they are?
Yeah, that schedule was tricky, and I didn't get a chance to talk to Mitch a lot about how you find that. I did when I looked at it. I know how hard the schedule is for me to do, and we can stay regional with a lot of the things that we do. To find the bye weeks in there, which is part of the equation, I guess, is remarkable. And then the neutral site games and the road games and less home games than most. It probably toughens you a little bit. That's a tough team. Like they're really good. And that galvanizes you a little bit, I think, as you go. And it's probably tricky to look down the road and figure out how you can line up with people and can you get them, because some people clearly have to fill their bye weeks with a variety of teams. It can't just be this. So sometimes those road and neutral site games can toughen you a little bit. Sometimes it is an RPI gain for you, because I think the equation, if I remember right, may be still a little bit heavier on the road or neutral site game, and you have to win them. And they did very well. And they're in a good position. They're an older group. I know they have some younger arms, but that's a mature group, it felt like, when you're playing them.